strikes.
Here's Jack Musa on the breakaway, looking for two, he's got it! Jack Musa across to O'Hara, he scores! That's a program record for point streak!
Here's Santos Mills on the doorstep, they score!
Hello everyone, welcome back to the 13th episode of the UMass Hockey Preview Show presented by UMass Journalism. Along with that guy right there, John Ruggiero, I am Jacob Repper. Our final time seeing each other on Zoom, John. I'm excited to see that face in person in a week.
Likewise, Jacob. But yeah, I'll miss my sort of floating island here above the campus. But it's been great on Zoom, and definitely will be happy to get back on campus for next week's show.
Gonna be a lot of snow up there as well, so you better bring your snowshoes.
Oh yeah, I might need a snowmobile by the time this weekend's snowstorm is done.
Well, drive safe, all right? Be careful.
You as well.
So last week, John, we talked a lot about in episode 12 how important the next couple of games are going to be for UMass, especially with NPI rankings getting a couple wins on the road. They had a home-and-home series against Merrimack. We'll talk about Vermont. That's 2 away games coming up this weekend. But UMass, it was do or die, right? Massive game, massive series for them. And they brought what we thought they needed to bring all season long. Is that correct?
I'd say so myself, Jacob. And, we talked about this a little bit in the last show. UMass needed bottom 6 scoring, and that is exactly what they got here, at least in the first game, even in the second game a little bit. But as for game 1 out at Lawler Rink, UMass won 4-2, and they got goals from Owen Mellenbacher, his first in 11 games, Justin Kerr, his first ever, Cam O'Neill, his first in 11 games. And I'm not sure you'd call Jack Kalenic a bottom 6 score, but he scored his first goal in 9 games as well. So a brilliant performance from those guys towards the bottom of the lineup in a game where Vaslav Nestrasil or Jack Musa did not score.
And that's something that Coach Carvel said in his media last week. He's got to get scoring from guys that aren't Jack Kalenic and Jack Musa. So, Vaslav Nestrasil and Jack Musa. So great to see from the Minutemen. Let's test your memory a little bit, John. Mellenbacher and O'Neill, what series was that? Can you remember their last goal?
Omaha.
There you go. Well done. Well done.
Yes.
And those guys, John, in and out of the lineup a little bit for O'Neill, I guess, and Mellenbacher, he's gone quiet. They need to have a big presence. You can throw guys like Bo Kosman in, maybe even Lucas Klechka, who we'll talk about in just a few moments.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some other guys down towards the bottom of the lineup there that could get involved. I mean, you mentioned Klechka, who did score in game 2. We'll get to that in a moment. But, I mean, you got a couple other freshmen. AJ Lacroix's kind of been in and out of the lineup. And I'm sure there's a face or two more that we're forgetting. But, yeah, I mean, even then, that is exactly what UMass needs. They need more goal scorers than Musa and Nestrasil. And not only did those guys not score in game 1, they didn't score in game 2 either. Because in that game, UMass won 3-1, and they got the goals from Klechka, his first in 14 games. Olvestad, his first in 11 as well, and Larry Keenan, his first in 16 games, which is a big number there. Some defensive scoring, which UMass has also lacked.
And that's what Coach said earlier this week in media. He said, one of the D-men, they're going to score and win this thing. And for Olvestad, I think his last goal was at the Mullen Center. He did the little monkey off his back. He's not a guy that you're going to expect on the score sheet a lot, but for him to get a sneaky one there, and Larry Keenan, something that you got to watch out for. First goal in 16 games. He's such a talented defenseman, John, with the puck on and off his stick. So for him to maybe start increasing his production defensively and offensively, that could go a long way for the Minutemen, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. I mean, I think that goalless streak also dates back to the Omaha series. So, I mean, that is a guy that certainly should get going. I mean, you talk about his appearance at the Spengler Cup. That should probably build some confidence, and I think it's done just that. I mean, granted, this was an empty net goal. Can't let that slide past us here, but it was a 200-footer. It was a brilliant goal from behind Michael Raubel. So, I mean, sometimes that's exactly what you need. I mean, Coach Carvel said it before. He doesn't complain about empty net goals. I mean, those count too. So, That's big for Larry Keene. It really is.
That's for sure. Let's talk about the guy that you just mentioned right there, Michael Robel. We all know the kind of fall that he had. Coach Carvel wanted him to have a 940 save percentage, which is a pretty high mark. There's not one goalie in college hockey right now that actually has that save percentage. But he's come into this new year refreshed, refocused, and we certainly saw that in game two as well as game one for Michael Robel. Almost 60 saves this weekend, and a great performance from him.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff from Michael Rabel. I mean, that is exactly what Greg Carvel and company wanted to see to start this season and beyond. Obviously, got hurt and has been dealing with some things, but he's back in this new year and he's back better than ever. I believe in his last 6 games, he actually does have that 940 save percentage, and you see exactly what happens when Michael Raubel performs to the level that he truly can. I mean, you got to remember, this guy is a second round draft pick. That's the hot, well, it used to be the highest on the team. Now, Vaslav Nestrel is the second highest on the team. And I mean, he's got to perform like a second round draft pick. You could probably say Vaslav Nestrel has performed like a first round draft pick at times. Granted, he is a freshman. Michael Raubel is a second round draft pick as a junior. I mean, he should be at the top of the league in everything at this point, and I think he's trending in that direction.
That's for sure, John. That's a great point too. And Coach Carvel, he did say that in media earlier this week that this is the first time he's seen Michael Robel look like a professional. He's never said that before. He said it's the first time he looks like he's a pro, which I think bodes well for the Minutemen. And then you look back to what he's done. To your point, year three for him. It's not freshman or sophomore year. Year three for him. However, his second half of his seasons in pretty much all 3 years for the Minutemen has been incredible. And right now with UMass at 29th in the NPI, if we want to talk about that a little bit, that could be exactly what UMass needs to get into that top 16 in the NPI rankings.
100%, especially against a Vermont team that is pretty sound defensively, and obviously we'll get into that later as well. But I mean, look, UMass just gained 10 spots in the NPI, if not more. I mean, it might have been 12. I'm not exactly sure where they were last week, but it was right around 10 to 12 spots. So if they get another sweep here, that's probably going to be the number once again, just about double-digit gains for UMass in the NPI. So, I mean, if they can get that good goaltending, if they can get that bottom six scoring, that's a recipe for success, and they'll be trending upwards. They really will be.
So let's focus on some midweek notes now from Coach Carvel's media availability. Some things to note here, John. Mikey D'Angelo out for the series versus Vermont. He took a hit earlier in that game against Merrimack. He's out for the series. That's a big loss, that top centerman for UMass.
Yeah, Jacob, it was in game two, took a sort of a hit to the back and fell down and had to exit the game, and not ideal, that's for sure. But the very least, it's not out for extended period of time as of right now. Only out for this weekend, it seems. I'm sure that'll probably translate into maybe a little bit more than this weekend, but hopefully he can be back well within the month of February. Um, but also on this list, I mean, one guy goes down and then all of a sudden you got another guy out for the season. James Dewar, Jacob. He hasn't been in the last couple of games, so I'm sure that's old news, but Greg Carvel confirming that this week.
Yeah, first time saying he's out for the season. So a bottom six guy that is a role player, I would say, gone for the year. Unfortunate for the Minutemen. Didn't give us an update on Nick Van Tassel. He said he is still out. I don't want to say indefinitely, but at least for the next couple weeks, which is a big blow for the Minutemen when you look at availability right now for this team.
Yeah, I believe it was 4 weeks as of the Simon Fraser uh, exhibition game, so he also should probably be back within the middle month of February. But also Kennedy O'Connor is available. I mean, you might want to have that as an extra defenseman at this point, especially if you're going to have a forward go into the lineup. So, I mean, Greg Carvel is going to have to do some jumping jacks again when it comes to setting this lineup. But I mean, look, the story doesn't change. Michael Rabel performing like a professional. You see it there, and UMass just got to keep doing their job regardless of who is on the ice or not.
That's for sure. They'll have a chance to do their job with two away games. We talked about that significance for the NPI against a Vermont team that a little bit strange, John. We were talking about it before the show here. 9-12 on the year, so not far from where UMass was just a few games ago, but 4 wins in their last 5 games played. They've certainly gotten hot, and a lot of them against ranked opponents in the first half of the season.
Yeah, Jacob, big wins. I mean, when you think about 5 games ago, what this Vermont team's record was, they were 5-11, and now they're getting close to 500 at 9-12. So that they are definitely on the upward trajectory, and that can't be taken lightly, especially going up to a place like Gutterson Fieldhouse. It's difficult to play in. It's a long bus ride up there as well, and it's a two-gamer. So it's not going to be easy. You think teams at the bottom of the Hockey East should probably be pretty simple to play against. They're not. They're definitely not. I mean, UMass proved that they were at the bottom of the Hockey East as of the last series. So um, the Minutemen, they have to bring their A game against a Vermont team. And you mentioned the ranked wins, Jacob, most recently bringing down a team like UConn.
That's for sure. And you go back to the end of the year, they took on Northeastern. They beat Boston University in their last series. That sent BU kind of crippling into the new year. They took on Maine. They beat them early on in the season. So they've been tested. They have, like you said, a handful of ranked wins. And a big reason why is because their goaltender, first year goaltender, Aiden Wright, 2.99 goals against average. He's 8-9 on the year, but a guy like Axel Mangbo that we saw last season for Vermont hasn't seen a lot of time for this Vermont team.
Yeah, Mangbo was solid, but it seems like Eden Wright is just that, a solid goaltender on a team that doesn't score much. I mean, Vermont only averaging 1.9 goals per game, so you're going to need a good performance from your goaltender if you're only going to score 2, maybe 3 goals. And they have gotten that in the last couple games. Actually, they've gotten some more scoring than they are used to. Last game they scored 4 goals, and the game before that they scored 5. So UMass cannot be giving up 5 goals, 4 goals against a Vermont team that seems to have a solid goaltender. But at this point, I'd say that UMass definitely has more of a solid goaltender than the Catamounts in Michael Rebel.
That's for sure. And when you look at offense, to your point, maybe not as many headliners as you'd see with the Minutemen. You got Jack Musa, 23 points in 22 games played. For Vermont, they don't have a guy that has a point per game. The closest to that would be Colin Kessler, the sophomore, 15 points in 20 games played. He's their playmaker, a handful of assists, but it's a deeper team. It's a team that, well, they have their older players, and defensively, that's somewhere that they've really tried to shore up lately. But it's a gritty team. You know what you're going to get when you play Vermont. The last time UMass was up there in Vermont, 4-0 loss, which is frustrating. However, the last time they played them in the Hockey East tournament, it was a victory for the Minutemen. So this is a series, John. It's always a fun one, and I expect that this weekend in a must-win series. I don't want to call it a must-win series, but every series is important, and for these teams in particular, it's at an interesting and kind of an inflection point in their season.
Yeah, definitely, Jacob. I mean, you said must win. It probably is that if UMass wants to get towards the top 20 in NPI. I mean, they're running out of time here. There's a good couple of weekends left. I believe there's, what, 5 weekends remaining after this weekend. So there's still some time, but I mean, it is ticking. It definitely is. So you go up to Vermont and you get 2 wins. That's a huge boost in the NPI. And then you come back to campus, start of the spring semester, a little bit of a reset once again. And if you keep winning, you're going to keep moving up. So it's pretty close to a must-win still at this point because you got teams like UConn and Northeastern and BC on the docket coming up towards the end of the season that you might lose against.
Give me a player to watch for this weekend, John.
Oof. I mean, not to be simple, but I'd have to go back to Jack Musa. I mean, he just was given the Hobie Baker nominee award, and he didn't score last weekend. So you can only, I mean, not to flip-flop here, but you can only ask so much from your bottom six scoring. And while it's good that UMass got that score, you can't ask them to be the only scoring. So Jack Musa has to get back on the board. Greg Carvel said earlier this season he expects him to score essentially every night. So you got to look out for him, especially in a huge away battle against the Catamounts in a place where UMass has struggled as recently as last season.
He even compared him to, I believe it was Bobby Trevino, right? That beginning of the season.
That's correct,
I
Bobby
like that
T.
pick. I'm going to go with Landon Nice, John. If I had to give you one guy, I think his game is really trending in the right direction. The points may not be there, 1 goal, 1 assist in 22 games played, but you got to remember this is draft year, John. This summer expected to be drafted. He's been rising up the boards a little bit, especially in to start the fall season. Coach Carvel feels like his offense should be improving and likely will be. He just hasn't gotten pucks to go his way, but I really like his game. I think for him, especially with somebody we didn't talk about, was Owen Murray kind of being up in the air with his availability. Coach Carvel said with kind of that lower body injury that flares up, if you will. I think the freshman defenseman could step up, and I think he will. And it could be a really nice asset for UMass here against Vermont this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you talk about Landon Ice, he's someone that would probably like to think that he's more offensively minded, especially as a defenseman. And the points aren't there, but I mean, he could use some points, especially heading towards draft time. But I think that's not at the forefront of his mind, at least right now. It's winning games, and that's exactly what UMass needs to do this weekend.
Any final thoughts?
Look, I mean, it'll be a good time Friday and Saturday night up in Vermont. We won't be there. It's our last on Zoom here, away from the scene, if you will. So, I mean, we'll be back better than ever next week, and hopefully we'll be covering two more UMass wins.
That's for sure. UMass versus Vermont. John, I'll see you next week. Don't get stuck in the snow. That would be a calamity. Maybe Professor Kyle will have to sub in for you. But we'll be back in the studio. I'm excited for that. You be safe.
You as well, Jake. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.